Welcome everyone to the Planet D Festivus Special, the holiday where we gather around the pole, take a deep breath, and admit the obvious. This year was a circus, and we all deserve refunds.
We've got the pole, or the hockey stick in our case. We've got the grievances, and we've got a whole country wondering how we made it through 2025 without becoming the 51st state.
And we almost did until we all united and put our elbows up. Thankfully for that.
So buckle up, because today we're airing the real grievances, the political ones, the ones Canada earned the hard way. And once you finish watching this video, let us know your biggest grievance from 2025. It may make it into our next video.
Now, before we dive into all these grievances, and trust me, we've got enough to fill a 3-part mini-series, we should explain what Festivus is. Because some of you may not have watched Seinfeld, and honestly, if you didn't, that's my first grievance. What happened there? Were you raised by wolves? Did no one love you enough to show you quality sitcoms and sarcasm?
Anyway, Dave, Festivus comes from a classic Seinfeld episode where George's dad invents a new holiday because he's sick of the commercial nonsense of Christmas. So instead of a tree and tinsel, he builds an aluminum pole. No lights, no decorations, just a sad, shiny stick. It's the perfect holiday symbol for 2025.
We're using a hockey stick, though. Then came the grievances. That's where you gather all your loved ones together and tell them all the ways that they've disappointed you this year. Quaint, therapeutic, slightly aggressive, though.
And after all that, you move on to the Feast of Strength, which is basically wrestling your dad to the ground. Now, nobody's going to do that part today, unless Trump tries to annex Banff again.
Then we could get into it. So that's Festivus. It's the holiday for the rest of us, especially those of us who have watched 2025 unfold like a soap opera on Fast Forward.
So now that we're all caught up on Festivus, let's get into our airing of grievances for 2025. And trust us, we came prepared.
Let's start with the one that set the tone for the whole year. Trump deciding that Canada should be the 51st state. Because, of course he did. Why start small when you can open your mouth and insult an entire country before breakfast?
He called Justin Trudeau a governor, and it was a title that Danielle Smith only wishes that she got promoted to that fast.
Meanwhile, Mark Carney steps right in there, calm, composed, probably holding a coffee, and says, yep, the old relationship is over. We're done being pushed around. That was the moment that Canadians collectively put their shoulders back and those elbows up.
So here's my grievance. Why does half of the US think that we want to be American? Why would we give up our free healthcare, social programs, and basic human decency just to join a country that can't even promise you a hospital bill that won't bankrupt you? We are proud Canadians, thank you very much.
Now, let's talk about the US border. Now, it used to be, oh, where are you going and for how long? Now it's, do you have proof your second cousin didn't post something spicy in 2020 on Facebook?
No, I don't. ICE detention isn't theoretical anymore. 400 Canadians have been caught in the system and detained, including children. And that is not a place anyone should end up for paperwork mistakes.
Reports of overcrowding, delays, poor oversight, that's not a border system. That's a warning sign. And it's gotten so bad that Trump squashed a 60 Minutes episode that exposed the atrocities and abuses online. But don't worry, we have a link to where you can watch it in the description below.
And still, people say we're the ones being dramatic for telling Canadians to be cautious when crossing the border. No, if a detention system is cracking under pressure, you don't casually stroll into it with a suitcase and hope for the best.
So my grievance here is simple. Why are Canadians expected to shrug this off? If another country detained 400 Americans, including children, Fox News would be camped at the border with night vision drones. But when it happens to others, we're told to relax. No, we relax when systems work, not when they break people.
And then there's Piet Hoekstra, the US ambassador. He seems to think that his job is to scold Canada on behalf of Trump.
Can't stand that guy. He talks to us like we're a disobedient staff, not an ally, lecturing Canada about loyalty while his boss is slapping tariffs on everything that moves and dangling that missile protection like a mob deal.
My grievance is simple here. Ambassadors are supposed to build bridges, not act like enforcers. If your whole approach to diplomacy is do what we say or else, Don't be surprised when Canadians dig in their heels and fight back.
Get out of here, Piet Hoekstra. Now, next up, this year's tariff saga. Where do we even start?
Well, maybe with the fact that Barbie got hit harder than Rolls-Royce. That tells you everything.
That's true. Every week it's something new. Canada's ripping us off. Canada owes us billions. Canada's dairy is a threat.
Buddy, our biggest dairy threat is running out of butter before Christmas baking season. Relax.
Oh, and now here's another good one. Journalist grilling Carney like he stole Christmas, then turning around and treating Pierre Poilievre like he's signing autographs.
Carney gets interrogated with follow-ups. Poilievre interrupts every question and the interview just ends.
So my grievance here is selective toughness disguised as balance. The media needs to do better. That kind of false balance is exactly what opened the door for Trump in the first regime, giving equal weight to nonsense and reality as if they deserved the same respect.
It's how discrimination got airtime, how racism got repackaged as opinions, and how conspiracy theories were allowed to spread without being shut down on the spot.
Pretending both sides are equally credible isn't balance, people. It's negligence.
Exactly. When one side is dealing in facts and the other is dealing in fairy tales, the job isn't to split the difference. It's to tell the truth.
Okay, now let's move on to the Epstein Scandal. Redacted files, conveniently missing tapes, and a president waving pictures around on stage like he's cracked the case.
So my grievance is simple. Survivors deserve the truth. They deserve justice, but instead, the most powerful office in the United States is being used to shield the wealthy and well-connected from consequences.
And watching a president tighten his grip on the evidence while lecturing the world about law and order is a level of hypocrisy that should make every decent person furious. If you're a predator, helped a predator, enabled a predator, or protected a predator, you face justice. The presidency does not put you above the law.
Okay, Dave, I've got one. This one's bigger than tariffs or one bad headline. This year, Canada had to be the response to one over and over again.
Yep, international negotiations. Canada was the one holding the line while other countries quietly watered down their positions. NATO? Canada stepped up on defense while some allies played nice with Trump and hoped he wouldn't notice they caved. Trade? Same story. We did the work, and others tried to flatter their way out of trouble.
They sent gifts. They softened language. The royal family even gave him a second state visit like nothing happened, like he hadn't spent years insulting allies and threatening to carve up the map.
Meanwhile, Canada said, nope. We led a tourism boycott. We refused to pretend that this was normal. We shifted our trade. We stopped showing up for photo ops, and we made it clear. You don't get to threaten our sovereignty and still get our money and our time.
So here's my grievance. Canada stood firm, paid a real price, and showed some backbone. What did everyone else do? Well, from up here, it looks like we were the only ones willing to say enough, while others bowed, smiled, and hoped that he wouldn't turn on them next.
We're tired because just once we'd like someone else to take the heat while we stay at home, eat shortbread, and watch the news without bracing for impact every day.
If you would have told me a few years ago that Canadians would lead a global tourism boycott of the United States, I'd have laughed. But now, it's our Tuesday.
And then Europe joined, Australia joined, even Mexico quietly shifted its messaging. And suddenly, the US travel sector realized Canadians were more than that polite market that keeps the lights on.
So my grievance isn't the boycott, it's the people still crossing the border when they don't have to. Why are you supporting a regime that's threatening our sovereignty, wrecking our economy, and taking swings at our auto, steel, potash, dairy, and lumber sectors? At some point, it's not a vacation. It's volunteering to fund the very policies that are hurting Canada.
And then there's the $61 billion missile defense ultimatum. Take the Golden Dome or pay up. Unless you choose to become the 51st state, that is.
A Canadian diplomat said to that, "We're not joining your protection racket," which is the most Canadian way to say, keep your dome, dude, we're fine.
And nothing brings out the Festivus spirit like a rogue group of Albertans threatening to lead the country again.
Danielle Smith was out there hosting road shows, dangling a referendum, and pitching separatism like she's selling upgraded satellite packages.
So my grievance here? Why does the rest of Canada have to sit through this episode again when the majority of Albertans, they don't want to go anywhere?
Ugh. And then there's Jamil Jivani and his Turning Point friendship bracelets. He brought Charlie Kirk-style campus chaos to Canada like we needed that.
University tours framed as if campuses are war zones. They're not. And white dudes need more freedom. No, they don't.
And the whole thing is funded and promoted by people who think shouting free speech is the same as saying anything accurate at all.
So my grievance here is that we now have American political extremism on Canadian student tours. We didn't order that, so we're going to send it back.
Yeah, for all of it. The threats, the tariffs, the constitutional grift, the tours funded by extremism. Canada, we didn't fold.
Nope, we held our ground, we pushed back, and we got louder. And Mark Carney basically told Trump, hey buddy, you don't own us.
That's a Festivus miracle! Canada found his spine and it used it.
So, that'll do it for us. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah, joyous Festivus, and whatever you celebrate, even if it's just making it to the end of this year in one piece.
Joyeux Novel and take a break from the internet tomorrow. Eat something good, hug your people, call a friend you've been meaning to get to, and none of this matters if we forget what is important and who we're fighting for.
Now, we'll be back on Boxing Day, still cheerleading for a Canada that stands on its own 2 feet and stands up for everyone.
And if you want to keep this going, hit that like button, subscribe, share this with the political junkie in your life, and join the A-Team. It keeps this channel independent and means more than you know.
So from our little studio to wherever you are in Canada or around the world, stay safe, stay kind, and don't let those bullies win.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Ciao for now.